Welcome viewers to Historical Journeys. Amazing structures from the classical era make up the seven wonders of the ancient world. In any case, albeit 6 of these landmarks have been found, one of them has never been found. And some contend that it really might be an imaginary creation. However, the absence of proof connected with the missing area could have a conceivable clarification. Specialists may at last understand and look for tricky 7th miracle of the old world. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It only takes a second, and you won't miss any of our future videos. Let's get started. It was worked by the Greek planner Philo around 225 BC. BC previously planned his 7 things to see. Today we call them the 7 marvels of the antiquated world. Throughout the long term, Philo's assortment of old wonders has been altered and refreshed to reflect various times. Nonetheless, his unique 7 stay the characterizing decision. Everyone an image of designing accomplishments and scale thought about mind-blowing in their time. Sadly, today only one of the 7 miracles of the antiquated world remaining parts. However, while 6 of the 7 wonders of the ancient world have been proven to still exist, only one has been discovered by archaeologists for a long time. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are located in this enigmatic location. It is said that they were made by the Babylonian lord Nebuchadnezzar, who administered from 605 to 561 BC. In any case, no real proof of the presence of the draping nurseries of Babylon has been found. Considering this, archaeologists know nothing about their conceivable whereabouts or why they were remembered for Philo's rundown, since the nurseries were probably situated in Babylon. His other 7 miracles are found in the Eastern Mediterranean district, which was Greek in viewpoint and way of life. Babylon, a nation in Mesopotamia, had its capital in Babylon. The remaining parts of the city are presently in Iraq. Babylon's power expanded during the rule of Lord Hammurabi, who administered from 1792 to 1750 BC. BC dominated. As Babylon's capital, Babylon thrived, turning into a strong and rich city and loaded up with wonderful engineering. However, Babylon's rule was short-lived. After Hammurabi's demise, the realm imploded and existed exclusively as a little realm for a very long time. Babylon experienced after 626 BC. What's more, 539 BC encountered a restoration when the Neo-Babylonian domain arose. Be that as it may, the domain didn't keep going long, and in 539 BC, Iranian troops led the destruction of Babylon. In 400 BC, albeit Babylonian power was restricted, the popular structures of its time turned into the subject of history, and the Holy Book makes reference to the massive Babel, a monumental design that ventured its feet very high. What's more, obviously, there are the Babylonian nurseries, deified by Philo in the 3rd century BC. He showed up there 100 years after the obliteration of Persia and Babylon and the antiquated realm of Macedonia under Alexander the Incomparable. Nonetheless, almost certainly, among Philo's perusers the site and its engineering were fairly unique. Philo says that beautiful hanging gardens were supported by stone pillars and suspended from wooden poles. Notwithstanding Philo's portrayal of the draping nurseries of Babylon, these plants were supposed to be as a conspicuous difference to the desolate appearance of quite a bit of Babylon at that point. As indicated by these sources, the hanging nurseries were an attack on the faculties. As indicated by legend, the realm of Nezer dispatched the development of a balancing garden for his significant other Amadis, since she missed the lavish plant life of her old neighborhood Media area, presently Iran. However, reviving a dry desert scene was no simple assignment, particularly in the 6th century BC. In the 4th century BC, scientists guessed that making the balancing nurseries of Babylon in the way portrayed may have required a perplexing water system process. Even though Nether-Eye and his wife have a romantic relationship, there is still no solid evidence that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon exist. Numerous Greek and Roman records of the site were composed many years after its vanishing, and archaeological examinations of the nurseries have since demonstrated ineffective. Robert Kalt, a German researcher, was in charge of the first archaeological digs in the ancient city of Babylon at the beginning of the 20th century. Truth be told, his group went through very nearly 20 years investigating the hanging nurseries. A decade after Dewey's endeavor, English student of history Leonard Woolley professed to have found proof of balancing gardens in a huge city around 240 miles from Babylon. He thought there might be evidence of an irrigation system in the bricks he found, which had a series of evenly spaced holes. Be that as it may, it appears as though a gentle virus is grabbing hold directly before my eyes. He erroneously connected his revelation with hanging gardens. The openings, which he accepted were water system markers, were likely bored to permit the blocks to dry equitably during the development of the design. Once more, a marvel has evaded archaeologists. Given the absence of archaeological and narrative proof in regards to the hanging nurseries, maybe the explanation wonder remains so tricky isn't on the grounds that it didn't exist, but since it wasn't in Babylon. Dr. Stephanie Cart is a privileged individual and exploration individual at the establishment of Oriental Investigations at the College of Oxford, UK. He is one of the academics who is skeptical that the hanging gardens of Babylon's remains were ever discovered because they were constructed elsewhere. Likewise, he makes sense of why in his 2013 book, The Secret of the Gantung Nurseries of Babylon. It is a world marvel. There was no such thing as the possibility that the hanging nurseries in Babylon isn't outlandish. For instance, Dr. He stated that while the Tigris River is close to Nineveh, the Assyrian Empire's capital, the Euphrates River, is not. Dita also mentioned a picture of the half-female Queen Lemos holding a spear in her description of the walls of Babylon. It is not surprising that ancient scholars could have misinterpreted the location of the Babylonian gardens, given the tendency of Greco-Roman sources to misidentify locations in Mesopotamia. After almost 20 years of examination, Cart started to accept that it was in Nineveh. Its area a few hundred miles north of the city is supposed to be because of financial plan limitations, and Nezer is named after the developer of the draping nurseries of Babylon. Dal held the belief that this miracle was the work of an Assyrian king known as the Patriarch. Analysts at the College of Oxford, where Dali resided, reached this resolution subsequent to republishing antiquated archives about Assyria. On a stone of the representative, there are a few furrows with gigantic signs and an engraving saying that I raised the level of the region around the castle and carried miracles to every one of the people who had high gardens that imitated the mountains. Manasseh. The portrayal of the representative's brilliant stripes is an image of the hanging nurseries. Despite the fact that Greco-Roman texts show that Nebuchadnezzar arranged his nurseries like the Persians, the making of the Valley of the Congresspersons is ascribed to Mount Manas, presently situated in Turkey. In point of fact, this ruler was well known for his ability to make use of technology, so it was possible that this technology was used to irrigate the vast tracts of land that the king owned. In addition, there is more evidence than just the Elder Scrolls interpretation that Nineveh was the location of the hanging gardens. While uncovering the remains of the city close to Krab, Iraq, they found an enormous waterway that started during the rule of this innovative lord. What's more, keeping in touch with the lords of far-off lands, the legislators of trees, I have a waterway in Nineveh. In this way, a few researchers accept that it addresses the popular balancing field of Babylon. One more proof of Nineveh's popularity is the area of the draping nurseries as a remains of the city. As a result, it was simpler to maintain gardens with water on Babylon's flat land. As per Dali, the wellspring of the disarray about the nurseries area is the way that Babylon was vanquished by the Assyrians in 689 BC. As a matter of fact, the name was normal to the point that the ruler's senate gave the city's entryways a similar name as Babylon. Moreover, Dali trusted that the incomparable located the upper channel of Nineveh in 331 BC. Despite the fact that Cart is right that the hanging nurseries were in Nineveh, she can disprove the possibility that the miracles of the past are basically history. Nonetheless, this might show a slight change in name. Modifying the set of experiences books can be hazardous, and Cart understands that her hypothesis about the area of the hanging nurseries will partition specialists. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated with our latest videos, subscribing is the way to go. Just click that red button below and become a part of our channel family.